honest to testify and help the committee with its work. I represent Boston Harbor. I've done that for about, well, including the state senate for quite a few years, maybe 25 years, and we've spent billions. We've spent billions cleaning up Boston Harbor. And I'm happy to say it's been a dramatic improvement. We see, seals, porpoises, things I never saw when I was growing up there. We see now, since the cleanup of Boston Harbor, the Deer Island sewage treatment facility. So we've made great progress there. Under section, one of the ways that we've been able to do that is using section 401 of the Clean Water Act, which it basically states that a federal agency may not issue a permit or license to conduct any activity that may result in any discharge into navigable waters, Boston Harbor, unless one, a state or an authorized tribe where the discharge originates issues a section 401 water quality certification verifying compliance with the Clean Water Act. So we've used that as a shield to protect Boston Harbor. In August 8, 2019, EPA signed a proposed rule to replace the existing water quality certification regulations under section 401. Part of that would be to limit the state's ability to protect its waterways. And is that your intention?
No, quite the contrary. We fully support the states doing water quality certifications, and if folks would read the proposal, they still have the ability to take a look at water quality impacts associated with federally issued permits. That's not changing.
So what you're doing, though, is in this proposed rule, which I oppose, it limits the issues that we can cite in refusing a water quality permit. It also limits the time we have to get our evidence together to fight that. And I'm just so. We've never, as a state, we've never relinquished our ability to protect our citizens or our natural resources. We've never done that. There's always been a shared responsibility between the states and the feds. So I'm just worrying if, I'm wondering and worrying, do you think constitutionally you can diminish the rights of the state to protect its citizens or its natural resources?
My touchstone is complying with the rule of law, and I intend to do that. We are following the law and proposing a rule that says 1 year means 1 year. And we're not limiting the ability of states to take into account water quality. I've been to Boston Harbor, and one of the first trips I took in this position was to go up and take a look at our urban waters program. It's fantastic. The 401 modernization effort that we're going through right now, the states will still have the ability to take into consideration of water quality impacts.
Not as much as they can now. Under your rule, it will diminish it. It's pretty plain, the impact of this. So I have a compressor station that they're trying to build adjacent to Boston Harbor, a pipeline, a gas pipeline that will definitely cause a negative impact on water quality just because of the nature of the discharge and the work they're doing. Under the existing rule, the state of New York has been able to push back under the Clean Water Act and deny licensing to a pipeline, similar to the one that I have in my port. So I'm just worried, I'm very worried that your diminishment of state power under this rule will allow this discharge to go on under your rule, under your new proposed rule that would not have happened when we had the right to protect Boston Harbor. Is that your understanding as well?
If your concern is water quality in Boston Harbor, our rule will not impact the ability of the state to consider water quality impacts associated with that discharge.
Well, you keep saying that, but you're diminishing the shield that we have to protect our navigable waters. In another section here, we have a current restriction on farmers who use pesticides and other fertilizers and nutrients near waterways that are currently prohibited, but you're expanding that ability. I mean, with all the problems we've had down in Florida with algae blooms and other impacts on tourist areas and beaches, you're allowing that now to happen in a bigger way and restricting states' ability to regulate that as well. I find it stunning, the scope of repeal that you're pushing forward.
Well, I respectfully disagree. So the scope of the repeal on the WOTUS rule was to restore the rule of law because the 2015 rule has been sent back to the agency as in violation of our statutory authority. And under the 401, I keep saying it because it's true. States have the ability to analyze impacts of water quality as part of the certification process.
In a diminished fashion. I thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. The chair now recognizes Mr. Graves, who's asked to make a clarification on one of his previous questions.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I believe that Mr. Westerman had deferred some time earlier and claiming that to clarify in 401.